Welcome to another Sunday WOAY ABC4 Community Forum, where we talk to community leaders and local success stories to discuss important information that affects Southern West Virginia. I'm your host, Lake Lewis Jr. Today we are joined by a distinguished guest. We have Mrs. Tina PANNELL, who is the president of the Juneteenth Committee in Beckley. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you on.
Thank you.
And this is a huge topic, and a big day for a lot of us, and not just for African Americans, but for all Americans. And before we get into some more stuff about it, let's give a history for some of those who unfortunately still don't know what Juneteenth is and why it is so important.
Well, it is our duty to dialogue. And in 1863, the emancipation did start. And it wasn't until 1865 that the Texans were notified that they were actually free slaves. So I think that's really important to share with all Americans so that we have the same information.
Yeah, a lot of people think that 1865 is actually when we were free, but no, you're right. It was 2 years before that.
Yes.
But there weren't cell phones and things like that back then.
Right.
So it took time for people to really understand that. And there was also a lot of fear too, because unfortunately, a lot of slaves didn't know anything else but being slaves.
Yes.
So they weren't sure of what were they going to do. And unfortunately, there was another story that's not being told, and there were some slave owners that weren't happy that they were able to leave and threatened them.
Absolutely. It was like they were free, but they also were like the children of Israel. They kept going in circles and going in circles. Maybe I want to go try this. And then they go back to their slave owners because that's all they knew.
Well, since I've been here in West Virginia, I've been welcomed with open arms. Everyone's been great, and it's small, tight-knit communities here.
Sure.
And I've met quite a few African Americans here who've embraced me for being down here. And just to have you on, when they told me you were coming on, I was really excited about it because this is important. This is something that I think a lot of people need to understand is part of American fabric.
Absolutely. I've been back in West Virginia since 2018, born and raised.
Okay.
Moved to Minnesota, and then I moved to Arizona. When I moved to Minnesota, when I turned 25, that's when I learned of Juneteenth. I was 25.
Yeah.
I went to West Virginia State College, where the first African-American lady, Catherine, she was a part of NASA and sending that up into the sky. So it's really wild how it took so long for me to learn about Juneteenth and to learn about Catherine as well. So I think it's really important just to educate one another because we don't know what we don't know.
Well, you also have to give credit where credit is due, and President Biden made it a federal and national holiday. And I growing up myself, I didn't really know much about it. It wasn't really pushed in the history books either.
Right.
So now the fact of the matter is that most young kids will grow up knowing this is a national holiday, similar to Dr. Martin Luther King's holiday. So these are big steps for us.
Huge steps, and I'm here to celebrate our 18th Jubilee, and we always start at the Hunter Cemetery on Antonio at 10 o'clock, and we acknowledge all of our forefathers who are deceased, whose shoulders we're standing on. So we open up by going out there and doing a quick prayer. Then we make it over to the New River Park, where the celebration begins. We have praise dancers. We have open mic, where people can talk about the history in their own language. So singers, you name it. So it's a great celebration for the community. And
there's a lot of people come out to this, I would imagine.
Wow. Last year we fed over 350 hot dogs. We just did hot dogs last year. And it was great. And they don't have to pay, they come. We have food, fun, and prizes. So
one of the things that we do for every guest that comes on our show, we ask them a question regarding COVID. And the question is, how has COVID changed business or practices? And are there any things that because of COVID you've implemented that now you like and you're going to keep that going forward?
Yes. So last year COVID was going on, and they had wondered whether or not if we would even do the event. So most people did come with their mask on. I did work with local individuals who came out, and they would provide shots to anyone who were interested in the shots. We didn't push it on anyone because it is their responsibility, and when they're ready, they will make that decision on their own. So that's what we did implement, and we'll be implementing it again this year.
And think about it, because of what COVID's done over the past 2 years, prior 2 years, there's talk of another, pandemic, so to speak, coming
no more
again.
Strands.
Exactly. But a lot of people are out now, out and about. A lot of people are like, look, we've been penned up for 2 years. We need to get out. So this year could actually have more people come out to the events.
We're ready.
Which would be a great thing, right?
Yes, and the social distancing, that's a great thing because it is outdoors. And we're just looking forward to a really good time.
I do want to ask you, were you shocked that this became a national holiday?
I was floored, but it was due time. It was definitely due time. I was in my office. I was former director of human resources with a local hospital here.
Okay.
And I received an email from Justice, and it stated that it had become a national holiday. So I was ecstatic.
Right. I mean, and just think about a lot of the people who didn't witness that.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and there's a lot of stuff here. Not to give history lessons here today, but this is important. You think about some of the young kids that they're going to grow up knowing this as a national holiday. It's going to be part of everyday fabric. A lot of them saw the first, Black or African American president. And now the first female vice president who's African American.
Right.
I mean, these are big times right now.
Right. I think overall, if they continue to educate themselves, and those who have the information, I have good information, and with this plethora of information, I can share this in everyday life. Hey, did you know? And it's not like I'm power to the people, it's educating the people.
Sure, it's indoctrinating and bringing people in, making them part of something.
Yes.
Just as much as we wanted to be part of something.
Absolutely.
So that's very well put. As far as, President Biden making this a national holiday, I'm sure you unfortunately probably got some negative, responses to that as well. I mean, is there anything like that you can share with us?
Oh, wow. I would say about 2 years ago, I was asked a question, why should you even educate others about this information? Why should I even celebrate Juneteenth? And
that's unfortunate.
I was taken back. I really was. And at the end of the day, you just want to have that duty to dialogue. Let's talk. We don't have to agree. Once you realize you don't have to agree, but the information is in your hands, you then become responsible. Absolutely.
And I take this to, this is nothing negative, but we had a couple emails come through that I saw when, we just named a Supreme Court judge, as far as first female Black woman. And got a couple emails, people saying, well, why would she be singled out to get this job, just based on her color? And it wasn't necessarily about the color. It was obviously she's extremely qualified, probably more qualified than the people who are making the negative comments. But with that being said, you do want your high courts to look like the fabric of the country.
Yes.
And that was the one missing face as far as all of the judges. It just makes common sense.
It's all about the job description. If you meet those requirements, then you have a leg up on those who do not.
Simple as that, right?
Yeah.
Very well put. I like that. I might have to borrow that from you.
Okay. Sounds wonderful.
So the 18th celebration, 18th annual celebration, are you going to do anything different from what you've done, or just, pretty much stay with the traditions?
We used to do it down in the museums, the Children's Museum of the New River Park, where the exhibition mine is located. However, we're going to move it back up to Shelter 1 this year, whereas when people are riding through, they'll notice that we're actually out there. So in previous years, when it was kind of quiet and there was still the pandemic going on, and we still wanted to acknowledge the event, because I'm not the first one that's ever been the president of this. Connie McKeever, who's from Ohio, who now lives here, she started it, as well as Doris Fields. That name may ring a bell.
Okay.
And others came before me that wanted to educate this community, and now it's like my responsibility to ensure that I'm sharing the good news. It's really good news.
It is. I mean,
good news.
you're here on our forum to celebrate this and share the news. So as far as the new location, it'll be more visible.
Yes, yes. And that's where they've had it in the past. They've had sponsors like Food Lion and Walmart that would come out and volunteer, cook the food, etc. So we're looking forward to a big event this year again.
Well, you saw one of our reporters when you came in and you guys recognized each other, so you already know we're going to be there to cover it.
Wonderful.
I mean, that's without say, so we'll definitely do that. As far as Juneteenth, though, what would you say is the one, I would say, misperception as far as Juneteenth?
I think the biggest misperception is that it's a Black affair. It is not. It is. It's a diverse event that allows others to come together as one, celebrate as one. There's smiles, there's people just getting to know about history. Who wrote it? Abraham Lincoln. Who carried it out? Some of the big abolitionists such as Ida B. Wells and Frederick Douglass and many others. So I just truly want to make sure that we continue the dialogue, if anything.
What kind of events, you mentioned some of the things that go on, but I always ask this too of our guests to come on, the kids, we always have to have things for them.
I love the kids. So we'll have the park rangers coming out and she has games for them.
Nice.
And so they'll learn about all the national parks here locally in West Virginia. And we also have, we're gonna have a game where they can pull out the apples with their mouths. Just fun things that we used to do when we were kids.
Bobbing for apples,
yes, that's what it's called. And then of course, last year we had a kid that after one girl did a solo, right at the end of the event, he said, "Can I sing?" And we said, "Sure." We're never gonna turn away a child an opportunity to express. And he sang, what was it? I think it was "Leave the Door Open."
Oh, wow.
It was so funny.
And it was nice.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. So yes, the kids are first.
What kind of reactions do you get with the older people that come out to this?
They're appreciative. Most of them are saying, "Wow, you've come back from living your life 22 years away from West Virginia, and you come back home and you pick up the torch and you're just leading it without default. You're just doing it." And I appreciate that. But it's all unto God. It's not unto me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Folks, right now I'm joined with Mrs. Tina PANNELL, and we're breaking down Juneteenth and giving you some history. If you don't know it by now, you will by the end of today's show. I assure you of that. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we still have a whole nother second half. We'll talk more about Juneteenth and its impact on society, and also give you more information as far as upcoming events that they'll be having as well. So stay with us on this Sunday morning WOAY Community Forum. We'll be right back. Welcome back to another WOAY Community Forum. This is the second part of our program today, and right now we're joined by Mrs. Tina PANNELL, who does a great job covering Juneteenth and breaking it down for the city of Beckley and Raleigh County for that matter. And we talked about the importance of this special day, and you have something that's really important, and you just picked it up yesterday. I was just told that.
Yeah.
Do you mind showing that to our audience and,
Sure.
and explaining exactly what that is? It's big, folks.
So this is a revised proclamation that was written by the office of Senator Manchin.
Turn it right here. There we go.
There you are. There's the seal itself from Senator Manchin. And it has a letter in it, actually. So if you don't mind.
Actually, I want you to read the full letter.
Oh, goodness
it's very
gracious.
important.
All right. So from the United States Senator of Washington, D.C., greetings from Joe Manchin III, United States Senator. On behalf of the citizens of the Mountain State and as your United States Senator, it's my privilege to welcome all those here to celebrate the passage of the Emancipation Proclamation and its enforcement with the 18th Juneteenth celebration and barbecue at the New River Park in Beckley. This is a time for gathering together in our communities, with our loved ones, friends, and neighbors to remember the values that make this diverse country so great. Although the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863, it was not until June 19th, 1865, that the announcement of the abolition of slavery reached the state of Texas. Wow, it's pretty amazing.
It is.
On this symbolic day representing freedom, today we join others across the country in commemorating of the end of Civil War, the end of slavery, and to celebrate the culture and achievements of African Americans. As West Virginians, we take great pride in our history, and it is so important to instill this commitment to our values in the next generation. As human rights activist Coretta Scott King said, struggle is never-ending process. Freedom is never really won. You earn it and win it every generation. This is a truly exciting and inspiring community event for all ages, and I'm confident that this event will continue to inspire and strengthen the Beckley area for many generations and years to come.
I mean, what can you say?
What can you say?
That's
Isn't that
awesome.
wonderful?
That is. That's awesome. I mean, to get the recognition,
Absolutely.
It's awesome. And you know, again, since I've been here, I just can't say enough about, you know, West Virginians. You know, coming from Washington, D.C., there's a stigma back home. You know, you're going to West Virginia. And no, actually, I'm more comfortable here than I am back home. I mean, everyone's just fabric. So nice. Absolutely. Everyone here is so nice and welcoming. And not just African Americans, everyone.
Everyone.
I mean, everyone has been great towards myself. I don't mind saying this, my good friend Janine Samuel says the same thing coming from DC. It's just so nice here. But to see these type of things happening and the recognition and the money that's coming here into Southern West Virginia, I mean, it's a great time.
To be a West Virginian.
Great time for you to come back home too, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. The day of the event at about 11:30, our very own Mayor Rappold will be reading his revised proclamation as well.
Nice.
So we've got a lot of people on board and celebrating this unique event, and I couldn't be any happier.
You know, when you look back, you know, let's just say, you know, 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Tell me, what did you feel like Southern West Virginia was compared to where it is now?
Well, I just returned in 2018, but there was a lot of conformity. I remember when my mother passed away in 2009, I had went up to the Raleigh County Courthouse to help my father with her estate, and I said, oh man, Dad, I need a new birth certificate. Well, the lady had misspelled my name.
Oh, wow.
And he said, oh, don't worry about it. I still live here, baby. So I took the birth certificate with my misspelled name instead of causing a ruckus, which I wouldn't have caused a ruckus. I just wanted her to edit the birth certificate.
You just wanted it to be corrected.
Right. So there was still some conformity and fear. Let's not ruffle anybody's feathers. And I think when we have a conversation, it's a conversation.
Sure.
It's, again, we're dialoguing. We're not ruffling feathers. You have now my information. It's factual. I have your information. It's factual as well. It's our responsibility to do the right thing with that information.
Would you say that, and we're giving history lessons here.
Oh goodness.
Would you say that this is a southern town, even though it's Southern West Virginia, because this does remind me eerily similar to where my father was from in rural North Carolina.
Yes, you can drive up the street and you won't know someone and they'll say, hey.
Yeah, you got that right.
How y'all doing?
You got that right.
So I do like the feel and the fabric of West Virginia.
You do have to speak to people. And if you don't, they look at you as if you're rude.
Because when I lived in Arizona, your neighbors were not the hello type of person.
That's back home. You don't probably know 2 neighbors on the whole street.
That's right. That's right. So I'm glad to be back home.
As far as the positive changes going forward, how do you see this affecting the state, and as far as everyone knowing how important this day is?
The furthest backwood person that does get a hold of this information, because even if we're at Go Mart or Sheetz, I could still talk to someone who doesn't know what Juneteenth is. So the person that's in the furthest back neighborhood will be able to educate their children.
No, understand why this is so important.
It's really education at the end of the day.
Well, the fact that you're coming on here
Yeah.
and presenting this in such an eloquent way, by the way.
Thank you.
I mean, it goes to show the importance of it. The fact that you have, Senator Manchin speaking out on this, the Governor Justice. I mean, again, since I've been here, I know everyone has their political views, and this climate we're in right now, it's so bad, But again, those two gentlemen are bringing some money back to the state. So,
Wow.
I mean, what do you say? I'm not going to change my
Thank you.
political affiliation, but I'll give credit where credit is due.
That's right. Thank you, and continue on our behalf.
When you got this, you said you picked this up yesterday?
Yeah, I work down in Charleston, so I ran over to his office, and all of the ladies greeted me. They wanted to meet me in person because they have written a letter before on our behalf, probably 5 years ago, actually.
Wow.
And I actually flew in for Juneteenth just to celebrate it with my dad, and I was the one doing the praise dance, so it was really fun.
So this is something that you've grown up with?
Yes, as an adult, because again, when I was 25 and I left and moved to Minnesota is where I learned of it. And they had parades and concessions all the way down, like a mile down the road. It was all blocked off. And that's where I learned of Juneteenth when I was about 30 years old.
Nice. Well, the fact that now it's a national holiday,
Yay.
a federal holiday. I mean, for some of you, you get the day off. I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Not at all.
Not a bad thing. So do you think this will be kind of like, not to separate anything, but do you think this could be kind of like an African-American Memorial Day in some ways, where you have cookouts and things like that?
I think it's the new 4th of July.
Nice.
Hey.
I like that.
I've heard a lot of people say this is our new 4th of July.
Okay, so I mean, and they're close together too, so you can have two versions of it.
How about it?
A lot of food to eat.
Lots of food to eat.
You mentioned that you guys go to a cemetery.
Yes.
Do you lay flags or anything like
We
that?
do. We do.
Nice.
We have about 50 flags that we lay, and we try to go to every headstone that says military servicemen or United States Army or Air Force Marine, and we'll put, even though the headstones are almost sunk into the ground, we owe homage to everyone that had served.
They're that old?
Yes, sir.
The headstones?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hunter Cemetery. You should come out if you have an opportunity.
How old do you think that cemetery is?
Wow. 1800s easily.
Oh, wow. So yeah, I definitely will. It's just amazing to me to hear this kind of history.
And it's right in the neighborhood where I grew up.
So you're from there?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So it's just, again, to hear this kind of history and, the importance of it. And honestly, I can say to see my faces, I think that's important.
Absolutely.
Especially for young kids, who sometimes we didn't get these things.
Right.
So for the younger kids now to know their importance in the world and the role that a lot of people sacrifice for them to be able to, go to school and do the things that they want to do now, that's important.
Absolutely.
What would you say to any of our viewers out there as far as coming out to your event?
If you don't come out, you're going to miss out, first of all. And secondly, you will have an opportunity to celebrate, listen to great music, eat as many hamburgers and hot dogs that you can possibly feed yourself, and just really have a jovial jubilee with everyone there.
As far as the date, you let everyone know again the date that we're going to have this big celebration.
So Saturday, June 18th at 10 a.m. we're going to host the Hunter Cemetery celebration, and then at 11 o'clock to about 2:30 we will be hosting the barbecue fun. And
if I'm here,
if you're here,
and I have to see what my schedule is for back home in DC, but if I'm here, and we've had so many people come in from Beckley on this forum. It seems like every week it's someone from Beckley coming in. And,
Good.
And I haven't really been to Beckley like that since I've been here in 4 months. So I mean, I'm really trying to make my way through. I was at Glade Springs this past weekend.
It's beautiful out there.
It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
But just going back through Beckley, I'm like, this is a big city.
Yeah.
So someone told me that Beckley now has kind of become the It's kind of like the unofficial capital of Southern West Virginia.
Oh, wow. I hadn't heard that.
That's what they told me.
We'll
So it's
take
kind of
it.
like the unofficial capital of Southern West Virginia. So I'll take that. As far as a website or social media, do you have anything like that you can let our
We really
listeners-
haven't, we post on our own personal Facebook, Instagram. If you want to volunteer, if you want to give any type of contribution, you can messenger me on the messenger.
Okay.
Facebook Messenger.
Do you mind letting them know what that is?
It's just Tina Pannell on Facebook Messenger.
Awesome, awesome. Again, we have about a minute and a half left. I just have to tell you, I'm honored that you're sitting here.
Thank you.
And this was very, very important stuff for our viewers out there, for our listeners as well. I mean, this is a history lesson, folks, and this is something that I think a lot of people, sometimes feel like when we speak, it's forced on them. And it's
Right.
not, it shouldn't be. I mean, this is part of history.
Right.
And you learn something every day, and I mean, this is part of our history. It literally is. We helped build the country.
Just come out and celebrate and continue to learn.
All right, so real quick on a positive note, what kind of food can I get?
Hamburgers, hot dogs, coleslaw, potato salad, red soda.
I gotta stay away from the sodas. I
Me
gotta leave
too.
that
I
alone.
drink a lot of water.
I gotta leave that alone. And I know we were scheduled. We have like 30 seconds left. I know we were scheduled to have Mrs. Barbara Charles on as well.
Yes.
So I'm sure I'll get a chance to meet her there.
You will.
All right. So look, I definitely again appreciate you coming on. We had a great time.
Thank
I told you
you.
26 minutes was going to go by really fast.
It did.
And you did an awesome job. All right, folks. So we're going to wrap it up. We appreciate you joining us today on our WOAY Community Forum. Have a great remaining Sunday. Be safe out there. And then I'll see you back here first thing in the morning at 6 a.m. Take care.